Wednesday morning. Nice to have you aboard. It'll be busy. The baseball playoffs have begun. Home runs galore in the National League. 2 for Shohei himself. Great pitching in the American League. And 2 road teams, Detroit and Boston, were winners. The 2 National League teams, the great Chicago Cubs and those Dodgers, they were winners at home. We're going to talk baseball final segment with our friend Tim Doolin. The television ratings, by the way, were really good in baseball this year, up a little bit. I wonder if those rule changes are helping. The ratings are in on the Ryder Cup. How did they stack up with the near Sunday Miracle comeback? Joe Dank will let us know in segment number 2. So we're looking forward to that. This is amazing to me. Greg DeWosier was the Doak Walker Player of the Week. You know, he and Sutton Smith are both on the list for that's the best running back in the country. And, you know, I'm not sure they're going to win, but I'll say this. This is the 4th week in a row that a Memphis running back has earned a national honor. Because Sutton Smith, if you recall, won 2 Paul Hornings in a row, which is unheard of. Never heard of a guy winning a national honor 2 weeks in a row. He did. Then he won the Doak after he had that incredible run against Arkansas in 164 yards or whatever it was. And then DeWosier had the 90-yard run and the 200-yard thing against Florida Atlantic. So he was the Doak Walker Player of the Week. That's 4 weeks in a row that the Memphis Tigers had a national honoree at the same position. That just does not happen. That is absolutely incredible. Can't wait for the game with Tulsa on Saturday night. You know, you keep winning. USF keeps winning. That October the 25th game really will have some meaning. I keep pushing this. I don't know if it'll happen because there's some other games in front of it, but could we have our second game day if everything broke correctly? Wouldn't that be something? On Beale Street again, or wherever they would decide to put it, that would be just fun. The new player of the year, almost halfway through the season, according to CBS.com, and I agree with this, it's Ole Miss quarterback Chambliss Trinity. A Trinity Chambliss, excuse me. I think you got to make that case. Here's a guy out of high school, small guy. He's listed at 6 feet, so you know he's not really 6 feet tall. And doesn't get a look from anybody. No Division I school. No one offered him. He goes to Ferris State and wins a national title. And then there is some interest in him, and so he goes to Ole Miss. Give Lane Kiffin a big nod at taking a chance on this guy. Simmons gets hurt. He's really there as a backup. And now, what will Lane do? I don't see how you don't stay with Chambliss, because he's just been so darn good. And by the way, they had a rerun last night. The 30 for 30 with Lane Kiffin. I got to tell you, I've always thought Lane was an interesting guy. He's a lightning rod guy. You either like him or you don't like him. I can see how you don't like him. But if you watch this program, and he admits how he has changed over all the years. And clearly he's rubbed people the wrong way. He defends himself nicely in this thing. But he, obviously, Al Davis hated him. I've never seen, when a guy got fired, the vitriol that Davis had, the absolute hate speak that he had. And he was telling Tennessee, you guys are out of your minds to trust this guy. He's scum of the earth, right? Then Pat Hayden is forced, because the group over him, the administration at USC, disliked him so much. He starts off, I think it was like, he's either 3-2 or 2-3. He wasn't 0-5, and they fire him at LAX. I mean, that was crazy stuff there. So he has this penchant for rubbing people the wrong way. But if you watch this 30 for 30, you can't help but find him interesting. He has changed. He's become a family guy. Stopped drinking. If that was a part of his issue, I don't know. His love for his dad comes out in this thing. His love for his daughter and his son now live with him, and they're all in Oxford. Even the ex-wife moved to Oxford. The son is the quarterback for the Oxford High School team. That's really good. He must be pretty good. So it's really a good 30 for 30, and it makes you really think and change sort of your perception about Lane Kiffin. So I hope you will read that. Last thing, PJ Haggerty, and I was listening to Parth Apajai talk about the interview with Andy Katz. I have not seen the interview, but I've read the story. And PJ Haggerty basically says, I wanted to be a point guard. Memphis wouldn't assure me that I was going to be a point guard, but Kansas State did. So that's why I'm going, because the NBA was saying, if you're going to make this league, you got to be a point guard first, because you're too small to be a shooting guard in the NBA. I don't know that he has, even though I believe he did lead the team in assists last year. I don't know if he has that true mentality. And I don't know if this will really occur, but I think there is the potential, because in essence, Memphis, much like Tennessee and UCLA did in sort of an inadvertent trade. It was not something that was set out to be done. But with the Tigers getting Doug McDaniel, who was the guard at Kansas State, coming here, and Haggerty signing, by the way, he signed for about $1.3 million less to go to Kansas State. So I hope this is not a mistake financially for him. But I see the potential here. If McDaniel lives up to what I'm hearing he can do, and Haggerty with the Big 12 trying to change positions, this could be a Nico Aguilar kind of a deal in the long run. We'll have to wait and see on all of that. As I sit in the Family Leisure studio, a reminder that world's biggest spa sale still front and center. Where you walk in, you'll see spas starting at under $3,000. The larger spas, the swim spas, which are really cool, they're 30% off. And if you would like a floor model, it's even cheaper. How about the cold plunges, the newest thing where they put ice in there and, you go out and you run 4 miles and jump into that thing and get your heart rate really going crazy? All the people in Los Angeles are doing it. It's the latest craze. They've got those for under $5,000. Still get a free umbrella with the purchase of select patio furniture, which is a really good deal. And there is a clearance on the swimming pools. Go check it out, because the prices go up after October. Go see our friends, Billy. Go see Lindsay. She's the owner at Family Leisure, where the world's biggest spa sale is still going on. We switch gears. We change times.
It's time for Dennis on Dave. Dennis on Dave. Dennis on Dave.
Welcome to Dennis on Dave.
So our resident curmudgeon in the house today.
I don't think of myself as a curmudgeon, but I will say my wife graduated from UT, so no documentary is going to change my household's mind about Lane Kiffin. I mean,
well, he did leave you guys.
He screwed the Vols, and he will never be forgiven by anybody that went to UT. I didn't go to UT.
Well, now in defense, he addresses that, and he goes, you know what? Obviously,
it was his dream job.
In retrospect, it was a mistake, but right, that was the dream job, and he really got kind of the raw end of the deal there. But maybe that was karma catching up.
He had it coming.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as far as
nice ESPN jersey, by the way. Where did you get that?
Dude, I did something for ESPN probably 30 years ago,
and they gave
me this shirt. Yeah, I also have an old HBO boxing shirt because I did something for HBO boxing decades ago, and they gave me a shirt.
So did you meet those guys?
I'm sure I did. I don't know. We've been in this business a long time, and
I like
never know.
Larry Merchant a lot.
I know. Yeah, I love Larry Merchant.
And I can't believe Jim, who's the best boxing announcer ever.
Good Lord.
Started off as an ABC sideline guy.
Yeah, no, I love both those guys. That's my theory on this is that Mike Tyson both saved and killed boxing at the same time, because we all watched boxing because of Mike Tyson. He was so impressive, he was fighting like once a week practically, knocking guys out in 15 seconds. Everybody was watching boxing. We all loved boxing.
Right.
People were paying $30 to watch a fight that lasted 45 seconds because Mike Tyson was so incredible. At the same time, an entire generation of guys who would have been boxers saw Mike Tyson and went, I'm going to play football.
Do you think, seriously, Mike Tyson enjoyed the same sort of popularity? I'll give you two names. And this is what I love about live radio, because you have nothing like this
No, I
planned
don't.
in your notes. Did Mike Tyson enjoy the popularity of Muhammad Ali? Did he enjoy the popularity of Sugar Ray Leonard?
Well,
I don't think he did.
I think they're completely different animals. Ali, for one thing, long career. He won the championship 4 different times, the heavyweight championship
least
4
3.
different times. Long career. Tyson, like I said, was fighting once a month on HBO.
Oh, yeah.
He was stripped down. He was an animal. He was actually a very, very underrated defensive boxer. People never give Tyson credit for how well he ducked punches, how well he caught punches. Ali was a brilliant fighter, and I do believe in their prime, Ali would have beaten Tyson. I do.
Oh, yeah.
Sugar Ray, I don't really think of Sugar Ray as being in the same class as either one of those guys. I like
Really?
Sugar Ray.
Popularity-wise? Oh, my goodness. He
Sugar
was a gold
Ray,
medalist who came out and he took the world by
if you were
storm.
a boxing fan, and I was a big boxing fan, Sugar Ray was the guy who threw a ton of punches, but they had almost no power behind them.
No, they were pretty to watch.
He real pretty to watch, but he wasn't hurting anybody. I mean, Duran quit because he was irritated, not because he was injured. He was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not just going to let this guy pepper me with butterfly kisses for 80 times in a round when he's not hurting me, but I can't beat him because he's going to get the punch count. I mean, I don't think of Sugar Ray as being anywhere near the class of those. I know Marvin Hagler, I love. If you want to talk about middleweight boxers, Marvin Hagler.
Hagler Hearns, those fights were unreal. Yeah, we haven't had
Marvin
anything
Hagler
like
was
that.
so frustrated by Sugar Ray's crap fame, he left the country.
Yeah, I remember.
He moved to Italy because he hated how Sugar Ray was famous, but Sugar Ray never hurt anybody.
Let's face it,
is-
Italy ain't a bad place to be either.
No, of course not. But he did literally flee the country because I can't believe we got off on boxing. We never talk about boxing.
No.
I really thought that UFC was going to ultimately, and I think it did. Boxing is essentially a
It
dead
surpassed
sport.
it for a minute. I don't know if it
Well, UFC
sustained that level.
UFC's still really popular, although they just they just signed that new deal with a network where they're not going to do.
Probably ESPN.
No, it's not. But UFC isn't going to be doing as many pay-per-views because I don't think people were buying as many pay-per-views.
Yeah.
But they figure if they spread it out, they can get people to watch UFC. I like UFC. Well, I like the striking. I don't really care for the submission.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of watching two guys aggressively hugging on the mat in their underpants.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah, and that's a little bit dull. And of course, I'm sure you talked about it early in the week. Petrino as the interim coach at Arkansas.
Now, I offended a few people, I think, just based on texts, when I said this move smacks of desperation. To have a guy that went there and was totally disgraced at that place.
He's a rotten
to bring
guy.
him back, holy smokes. And,
look
and
at
by
it.
the way, every place he's been, there have been people who have talked about how he treats people.
Because he's a louse. I mean, think about it. Louisville, the Falcons, Arkansas, Western Kentucky, Louisville again, Missouri State, all bombed out because he's a rotten human being. And so now, congratulations.
Can you change your
Arkansas.
colors?
No. If he could, he would have by now. Considering the things that he's done, one headline was hilarious, saying as soon as he was hired, he fired 3 defensive coordinators because they weren't hot enough for him to sleep with on the side.
By the way, speaking of the Arkansas deal, I have heard several people who have come out and say, John Gruden. You think John Gruden would like that job? Would he like the Florida job? Do you think Gruden is definitely in the mix? Has he paid his penance?
I haven't. That's funny that you've heard that. I haven't heard.
Oh,
Gruden,
yeah,
I haven't heard Gruden mentioned for any coaching job.
Both Gruden and Urban Meyer. Those are the names that keep bringing up.
Both those guys need to just stick to sitting behind a microphone. The Cowboys-Packers tie once again ignited the conversation that we shouldn't have ties in football. I mean, we have ties in the other football, but in American football, we shouldn't have ties. Nothing's going to change because, as somebody else pointed out, football is an incredibly violent and dangerous game. you can't leave them out there
No,
indefinitely.
they played long enough.
Until somebody wins.
Right.
Because somebody's going to get killed. It's too dangerous a game.
I'm okay with the tie after an overtime
In
the regular
season. I'm not thrilled with it, but I also, if you're going to do anything, maybe it would just come down to kicking. Just where you just start kicking. Like penalty kicks, the equivalent of penalty kicks. You just keep
back
kicking.
them up. Start at the 50.
Just keep kicking until somebody misses and somebody hits. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman have had it, as we all have, with the Cincinnati Bengals. They called that game. It was absolutely horrible. Denver beat Cincinnati 28-3. Since Burrow went down, the Bengals have easily become
Terrible.
the worst team in football.
Well, they actually, I think, had more irritation with the officiating.
Well, they had more penalties than first downs.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if that's on the officials or on just a crappy Bengals team. And Joe Buck and Troy Aikman did refer to it as an embarrassing effort by the Bengals. And once again,
Well, they also Aikman in particular was he's saying, okay, that by the letter of the law is a penalty, but it doesn't need to be called in that particular case. I'm not sure what that refers to. Maybe he was just sick of watching a game that was never competitive, but he was definitely taking on.
he had to find something to
referees.
talk about. He
Yeah.
couldn't talk about the game. The Browns have benched 40-year-old Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And they're going to go with their backup, Dylan Gabriel. That's not going to be controversial at all. We're not going to hear from Deion Sanders later today about this. Dylan Gabriel.
Well, look where Gabriel was drafted, and look where Sanders was drafted.
Yeah, exactly. Dylan Gabriel is listed at 5'11", which means, as we all know, he's
5'9".
5'9.5", 5'10". One way or the other, I'm taller than Dylan Gabriel, and I'm not tall enough to play quarterback in the NFL. And so there's going to be a lot of pushback because Shador can get the chance.
Let me just remind you, Doug Flutie.
What about him?
He was 5'9".
Yeah, and he sucked.
He wasn't terrible.
He wasn't good. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
No.
He didn't win a Super Bowl.
No.
He was never really on a competitive team. He was a very I couldn't stand him. I hate short quarterbacks. The Raiders suck. We all know that. But I've been waiting all season for Ashton Genty to break out.
Oh, he's good.
You know, he finally is.
But he
And
did
what
that against the Bear defense, too. Come on.
But what I love what he did is he went back to the stance that he had in high school and college, the Mike Myers from Halloween stance. It kills me. It's so funny because for whatever reason, for the first few games this year, he went with a more traditional stance. But in college, he would literally just stand straight up in the backfield with his arms by his sides like, I don't really care if I'm involved in this or not. And then, what did he do? Ran for 138 yards. Had his best game of his rookie year, going back to that stance. Because I just think it's funny. I think it's funny that it has that attitude of, I don't know, they might give me the ball or I might just stand here for the whole play. Well, we'll see what happens. Eagles, this is interesting. You may have seen this. The Eagles defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, pointed out that this season the NFL has changed the way the kicking balls are handled. Did you see the story?
I did not see the story.
Before this year, the kicking balls were rubbed by the officials or by another personnel, and they were used in the game. They weren't a separate ball. Now, teams have a completely separate
Kicking
batch
ball?
of kicking balls.
Maybe that's why a 50-yarder's become a chip shot.
This
Maybe
guy,
there's helium in those balls.
This guy honestly believes that the Cowboys kicker will hit a 70-yarder this season.
I think he's got a chance.
And it is. There's definitely something going on with the kicking balls that's different because we've had guys hitting over 60 yards often this season, and somebody will hit a 70-yarder, and nobody's going to say.
I mean,
well,
it is kind of weird that if you get near midfield, you're in field goal range.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Especially
And if you start at the 35, all you got to do is make 15 yards.
You make 15,
3
20
points.
yards, you got it. Of course, I think we've talked about this before. Football fans wouldn't care if they eliminated the kicking game altogether. Because, as I've said about Pat McAfee, kickers are football players don't think of as football players. One of the big questions coming to the season was whether or not Travis Hunter would play both ways for the Jaguars. Turns out he's not playing either way for the Jaguars. This was going to be so exciting. I was really excited about Travis Hunter. I thought this is going to be great. Having a guy who's going to play both sides of the ball, this is going to be very exciting. He wasn't a starter on either side of the ball against the 49ers. So,
I think maybe if he just stuck to one, he would
Maybe.
become better and start.
This morning on ESPN, they were asking the question, can Vandy upset Alabama? I'm not even sure that would be an upset.
Oh, it would be an upset.
Vandy's 16, Bama's 10.
Yeah.
Vandy beat Alabama last year. Alabama is probably going to be coach shopping in the offseason, so I don't think it would be that big a deal.
The line in that game is 10.5.
One of my
that would tell you that it would be an upset.
One of my favorite stories that I've seen in ages, Chelsea Baker, a 17-year-old high school senior who plays with the boys team on her high school, became the first woman ever to throw BP to a Major League Baseball team. She pitched a batting practice against the Tampa Rays, showing off her knuckleball.
Wow.
And was very impressive. She fanned a couple of guys. And this is what's so cool is Joe Necro was one of her Little League coaches. And he taught her the knuckleball.
Well, who better?
Didn't teach her his other signature move, the emery board. This is so long. This is 1987, so a lot of you folks don't have any idea what I'm talking about. But Necro got caught on the mound. He was doctoring balls, and he pulled his hand out of his pocket, just like saying, "I'm not doing anything," while he tossed an emery board onto the field. It's not like he was doing his nails in the dugout between innings. He was obviously doctoring balls. But that's a very cool story. Chelsea Baker pitched BP for the Tampa Rays. It was pretty impressive. And finally, I got to say, I'm with Rory McIlroy. The crowd at the Ryder Cup was unbelievably classless.
Oh, I know. Terrible.
I had it. I wasn't really watching it. I had it on. I always have golf on the weekend. Not necessarily that I'm sitting there watching, but it's always on. And I was conscious of thinking, wow, that crowd is not being policed in any way.
I don't understand how in the culture in this country, it's not just golf, too. It's at NFL football stadiums and everywhere, where you think you have the right to say the kinds of things you say, not only to the athletes, but in the case of the Ryder Cup, the wives.
Yeah.
What did Rory McIlroy's wife do? Come on, that
somebody threw a beer at her.
I know. It's just, it was.
And
it was
somehow
ridiculous.
some comedian named Heather McMahon.
Oh, yeah. Do you know her?
No, I don't know anything about her. Was singled out as being like the ringleader that was specifically targeting Rory and his wife.
Well, she led a cheer. She was the announcer on the first tee. She led a cheer. Roy. F. Roy.
F you.
What? And come on now. And she was hired by the PGA. Yeah. That's on the PGA of America.
She has since apologized, and the PGA won't be employing her.
Well, they fired her right in the middle.
But it was disgraceful.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And I get it if it's football. I get it if it's the waste management. The waste management is a tournament where that kind of behavior is encouraged. But this is golf, and golf should have respect for golf.
I don't think the kind of abuse that they spew out should be tolerated at any place in any sport. That's just me. I've never understood that kind of thought. And that's where the culture is. Just look at the internet. We know that, message boards and things like that.
I'm not going to be doing stand-up in clubs anytime soon.
Thank you, Dennis. We appreciate it. We will chat again next Wednesday. That is Dennis Philippi. He's brought to you by Dinstall's. You know what happens tomorrow, don't you? They dip the new apples every Thursday. Freshly dipped caramel apples. You can't beat that. Now, I'm not sure that goes past October. There'll be something new. But you know how much those apples are so scrumptious. I'm talking, you can do it many different ways. You can do the traditional just caramel. You could do that with pecans. That tends to be my favorite. You could add chocolate to that. How about this? Caramel cashew crunch. That's a new wrinkle they're doing this year. All 5 locations. You can't beat the apples, I'm promising you. And they dip them tomorrow. Tomorrow, Thursday, that's the day to go. To Pleasant View where they make them, to Germantown, to Collierville, downtown, or in my neck of the woods, Laurelwood. Go get the apples. You'll thank me later at Dinstall's. We take the break. It's the business of sports. The Ryder Cup TV ratings are in. How did they do against the NFL? Joe Denk lets us know in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
When your name's on the paint job, your primer better hold up. Painters trust Kills primers for serious adhesion, stain blocking, and a finish that lasts. Now, the full Kills lineup is available exclusively at the Home Depot. Need it fast? Get same-day or next-day delivery, or order online and pick it up in-store. Kills primers. Pro results. Faster. The Home Depot. If you're a pro, you know.
Ready to shine, Memphis? Drive clean all month long with unlimited wash plans at Club Car Wash. Stop by any 4 Club locations in Greater Memphis or visit clubcarwash.com today.
Club Car Wash. Join the club. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations. Fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad. Or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. I'd sure love to see you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Hey, make some man, don't take things over. Hey, let's loose, hard to swallow.
Welcome back in. Joe Dank, former general manager of ABC 24, CW 30, former director and producer of television sports, joins us every Wednesday on the business of sports and TV. And Joe, the ratings are in for the Ryder Cup on Sunday. They were up against the NFL on Friday and Saturday. They were all Europe, so I have no idea what those were like. I'm curious about the comeback on Sunday and how those ratings might have been. Good morning. What did you learn?
Good morning, David. So the TV ratings for Sunday are maybe not unlike the Americans' performance on Friday and Saturday. TV ratings for Sunday are actually the worst in over 25 years.
Oh, no.
3.2 million viewers.
Wow. What did they do in Rome? When they were in Rome, how were they?
Well, those are significantly lower just simply due to the time period. I mean, so this is the lowest American-based Ryder Cup numbers. The years when it is in Europe generally do about half or less.
Wow.
Than the and that's just because the audience isn't available because it's usually on early on Sunday morning, right? So
right.
So that explains that. But this is strictly a comparison, sort of the apple to an apple of the Sunday when in fact the event is being held on American soil. Here's a little perspective for you. The all-time high of the Ryder Cup, and now we remember, audience delivery isn't what it once was. There's so many competitive factors in the market, and frankly, people have other things to do. But the all-time high was back in 2012. That was the year in Medina. That was a great event, but that year did 5.5 million viewers. So it's now down to 3.2 million.
Wow, that's
and this
a
is one of the lowest ever.
significant loss. And, just so people understand the behemoth of what TV is. So the zenith of the Ryder Cup, which, I love, so I'm sorry to see this. And it was 3.2 million this year. The zenith was 5.5. The Sunday night football game between Green Bay and America's team, I don't know why, Dallas. What was that number?
Well, so that's a big one. Packers-Cowboys did 26. That's right, 26.9 million viewers on Sunday night.
So that's over 8 times more than the Ryder Cup. 8 times on what people said was going to be the greatest Ryder Cup in history.
That's right. Yeah. So again, the NFL is simply in a class of its own. All other things are not equal to that in any way, shape, or form, and it doesn't even come close. That game, by the way, on Sunday night, third highest TV broadcast of this year's NFL season. Sunday Night Football, through its first 4 weeks, is up 6% over last year. Now, compare that Packers-Cowboys game with the Eagles-Chiefs game of just a couple of weekends ago. That was in the late Sunday afternoon window on Fox. That game did 33.8 million for comparison. And then the
so that's
opening
10 times the Ryder Cup right there. Wow.
Well, yes, sir. And then go back to the opening night, and when you say, I don't know why the Cowboys are America's team, this might be one of the reasons why. So the Cowboys-Eagles game on opening night did 28.3 million. So,
now they're dropping. They lost 2 million.
Well, but 2 of the top 3 football broadcasts in the NFL this season have featured the Cowboys. And, look, that was nothing less than a unbelievable, unabashed multimedia extravaganza on Sunday night.
Well,
one thing that was interesting, NBC does have the Super Bowl this year, and they pretty much brought out the full complement of the production capacity that they will use for the Super Bowl. They did that on Sunday night in that particular game, maybe for almost as a dry run, if you might. But they used most of the production capacity that they'll employ
when you say that,
February.
What does that mean? How many cameras? How many replays? How many different angles? What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is all of that. I mean, they used the same complementary, the same package of cameras, tape decks, personnel that they will use.
Do you
I don't have those specific numbers. Nope. Because, and maybe that has not even been disclosed because they haven't finalized it yet. Because, again, this is kind of the test purpose. If they say, let's see if we can do it with 56 cameras throughout this stadium, they try it out that night, So they'll figure it out and finalize it, and they'll announce that in a press release prior to the Super Bowl. But the word going into the game is they were going to use their full production capacity that night in Dallas. And it was a great TV show and a great game.
The number one, though, is the Kansas City Chiefs. Are they really America's team? Mahomes, all the winning, everything else, Kelsey, Swift, everything that goes with that. Are they the most popular one? I'd love to see what those ratings are compared to the Dallas Cowboys at the end of the year.
Well, to that point, however, we talked about the Cowboys-Eagles opening night. The Chiefs played the Eagles in that game, so the Eagles have been in 2 of those 3 games,
well, that's true.
3 games as well. So maybe that, maybe that's the conversation. I truly believe the Cowboys are America's team for many of the reasons we talked about earlier, and they will continue to be, win or lose. I'm not sure Jerry Jones was that upset the other night. This guy is a businessman. This guy is a promoter. He has always been about creating a show, and they had a show on Sunday night, didn't they?
They did. There is no doubt. They absolutely, and that was a great game. And it was the highest scoring overtime game in the history of the NFL, combined 80 points. Nothing was decided. I think it was sort of a redemption game for Dak Prescott because that's the best I've seen him look in years. That throw in overtime, that comeback catch, that was incredible. He was falling away, threw it 45 yards in the air on a line. Pretty impressive.
Here's all you have to know. They played 70 minutes. The game ended on the last play, and it ended up in a tie. And I don't think anybody complained about the game.
No. And the number was, as you said, pretty good, 26 million, third highest in the NFL
That's
this
it.
year. All right, let's switch to baseball. The Major League Baseball regular season ratings are in. How does that look?
Yeah, so this is an interesting story, and so much is always talked about baseball, and it once was the national pastime. It no longer is. Nevertheless, in this season, of the major package holders, if you will, ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball. Now, this turned out to be the last year of Sunday Night Baseball, but they went out on a high note, averaging 1.8 million viewers. That's up 21% over the previous year. And it's the highest season since 2013. So, highest year in over 10 years on Sunday Night Baseball.
I don't
Fox
know. I don't know if we can quantify this. I know I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry, but
no problem.
Do you think rule changes, pitch clock, shorter games, maybe a lot of large markets that were good this year that made postseason? Do you think that is the contributing factors here?
Yes, and yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you hit it all. I mean, when the biggest teams are doing well, it creates great interest. The Dodgers are the Dodgers right now. The Dodgers drew 4 million people this year.
Wow.
Attendance in home games,
My
4
gosh.
million people.
So what is that's a sellout, isn't it, every game?
Yeah.
Man.
Well, think about it. You
81
games,
times, yeah.
4 million. Isn't it 50? It's unbelievable. So that's amazing. Fox had a good year. Fox averaged over 2 million viewers for each of its telecasts. They do primarily Saturday Night and Prime. That was up 9% over last year. Even FS1 was up double digits, up 10%. And the games on MLB Network, sometimes those aren't just, those are just rebroadcast or broadcast of locally produced games. But MLB Network this year, its TV games were up 21%.
Wow.
And this is one of those national TV packages that almost exists in many ways in the Witness Protection Program, but TBS does have a national Tuesday night baseball game.
Yeah, they don't market it very well. I love Brian Anderson. He does the games.
Yeah, he does a great job. They average just under 500,000 viewers this year per game, but that was a 29% increase over last year.
That's
so
great,
pretty
man.
good stuff. Pretty good numbers for baseball.
By the way, the Dodgers average attendance, if you go 40 million divided by 81, 4 million, it's 49,382 every game. 49,000 a game to Chavez Ravine. That is really unbelievable, even though it is the second largest city in America. So ESPN walking away after these numbers are so high. What's going to happen with baseball in their TV package?
So here's how it works going forward, and these deals have not necessarily been formally announced, but they're generally accepted, and Manfred, the commissioner, has even talked about them. But Sunday Night Baseball is going to move to NBC, and that will also include the wild card round. So you're watching the wild card round this week exclusively on ESPN.
Right.
That, too, is the last time that will happen. But it moves to NBC next year. So now think about this. NBC on Sunday nights is going to include Sunday Night Baseball. That's going to move and fold nicely into Sunday Night Football. And what we are about to see happen later this year is the introduction of Sunday Night Basketball because the NBA is moving to NBC. So they're going to be looking at somewhere between 48 and 52 of Sunday nights with either live baseball, basketball, or football. So that, you might say, is NBC being all in.
They are. They're ready to do battle with ESPN, ABC. By the way, the only postseason wildcard game on network, over-the-air network, was the Cubs and the Padres yesterday. The other three were on ESPN, the Cubs and the Padres, and today, too, are on ABC. Does that mean anything?
That's true. Say again?
Does that mean anything?
Well,
I would have thought they would have put Boston, New York on ABC.
Well, but Disney considers ABC just one of its many outlets to distribute its sports content. And so the ABC gets that game, they want to keep, I think, the primetime game on ESPN to drive the number for ESPN overall. But they needed a place to put that game and get maximum distribution in the afternoon, and so went to ABC. And I don't think anybody in Chicago's probably complaining that it's on free over-the-air TV.
No, I don't think anybody is. Yeah, no, I kind of loved it myself. All right, last thing, and we're going to have to do this very short. We'll probably go more in-depth in the next few weeks. But the U.S. Senate this week introduced a bill on college sports. I think it's something like Save something. I can't remember exactly, but I know you've done some homework. What does this mean? What is this?
So look, this bill, it's called the SAFE Act, Student Athlete Fairness and Enforcement Act. Senators Cantwell, Booker, and Blumenthal introduced the bill on Monday. Two major elements of the bill. Codify the terms of the House settlement. We've talked a lot about that in the past. And the second element, and they're focusing on this, is to amend the Sports Broadcasting Rights Act of 1961. And amending that would provide antitrust protection to the college sports to allow them to pool their media rights and sell it as one package. And the belief here is that by doing that and changing how college sports media rights are sold, it would generate enough extra revenue that it could provide additional support to the non-Power 4 schools and support and fund the Olympic and women's sports. You'll recall we talked about this campaign, Saving College Sports, just a couple of weeks ago. This guy from Texas Tech, Cody Campbell.
Yeah.
That was his big thing, was to amend the Sports Broadcasting Rights Act so that they could redo how they do these media rights deals.
He met with Trump, and then Trump was talking about saving women and smaller schools and everything else.
That's
This actually may be how these mid group of 5 schools can survive if this really comes true. We'll delve into that a little bit more as time goes on. Joe Denk, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. And you will talk with Landon Schmidt. I'm going to be off next week, but you will talk with him about all of this stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
That is Joe Denk, our guy on the business of sports. He's brought to you by Sheldon. When does a name mean what you do? Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf knows just how much good service can make the difference in a successful business and how your name can say it. For example, FedEx, that means quick overnight delivery. David Jones, Germantown Auto Service, that means you're going to get unbelievable, according to Sheldon, the best service around. So don't forget, his website is memphisrelocate.com. That's exactly what he can do for you, and he can assure you he provides some of the best and the most reliable service when you're selling your home. As the number one guy, I think, of all satisfied client shows. That's why people say when you want the job done, you call Sheldon. You reach him, 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That again, his website, it tells you, memphisrelocate.com. Let Sheldon show you what good service means. We take a break. When we come back, it's baseball with Tim Doolin. He is next on Wolo and Friends.
You have opinions?
I think it's over.
Of course you do.
I don't think it's that simple.
Everyone does.
I got all the answers.
Hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255.
Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis has serious vans for serious work. At 4430 American Way, they are the Mid-South source for cargo, passenger, crew vans, and custom chassis. Need one or a full fleet? New or used, they've got it with fleet solutions and custom upfits. Certified techs keep you moving with fast maintenance, repairs, and a large parts inventory. Mercedes-Benz Van Center is your Sprinter Van headquarters, 901-237-9302 or sprintervans.com. Mercedes-Benz Van Center Memphis, part of the Tag Truck Center family, driven to keep you on the road. Here's what sets NST Law apart. They don't just work in Memphis, they ride for Memphis. From school fundraisers to courtroom battles, they show up where it matters. And when someone in this city gets hurt, NST goes toe-to-toe with insurance giants. No fear, no favors. It's not just the law to them, it's loyalty. And if you ever need backup after a crash, NST's got your back. NST is the way to go. Call 683-7000 or check out nstlaw.com.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgos. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar-based. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to baste or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef, and she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or a steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meats. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper was more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with a perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at the Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it.
A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948, the Rendezvous.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Nothing like postseason baseball. I know Tim Doolin would agree with me on that. Timmy, yesterday we saw home runs in the National League, pitching in the American League. 2 home teams won, both in the National League. 2 road teams won in the American League. Lots of great play we saw out there for sure. Give me some of your impressions early on.
Well, first of all, your Cup won. That's why you're so
energetic. Yeah, I'm excited. No doubt.
Yeah. No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. There's just lots of really good baseball being played, and whatever brand of baseball you like, you got to see it yesterday if you watched the full slate. So I think it's going to be more of the same today. Obviously, I think the Dodgers are just that much better than the Reds, although you got to give their front office and Tito credit for doing what Tito does, is turning a team around relatively quick. They've got a lot of good young talent, but I think their starting pitcher was from L.A., and he was nervous. And obviously when you look up there before the game starts and you're facing that type of a lineup, there's no coasting throughout it. And Ohtani proved yesterday why he's the best player in the game, and he's probably going to continue to prove it in this series when he toes the rubber either today or tomorrow.
So he's going to pitch either today or I guess I would say,
or they'll have an off day if they lose today. So
yeah. Oh, that's true. But so when you say he'd only pitch, what would the count be? How many?
I think you're going to see him. I think you're going to see him throw somewhere between 80 and 90 pitches, just depending on the flow of the game, the score of the game as they move on, and what his body and everything dictates. So again, you switch gears to the Yankees and Red Sox. What a great game! Great pitching. One play that, you and I talked off there, and I didn't mention it, but one play that I think is really important, that even though it didn't change the outcome, it changed the complexity of how the Yankees would have gone into that last inning when I forget who it was with the Red Sox, took an extra base on a single. He ends up getting the double out of it, put 2 runners in scoring position. Judge was a little bit lackadaisical going after the ball, and they didn't get the ball in time, and it wasn't even a close play. So I think, going back to last year's debacle in the World Series where they just didn't do things fundamentally sound like they're supposed to be doing.
I agree. That was unbelievable pitching that went on in that game. I watched that intently. First of all, you had this guy Crochet who was just amazing. I don't even know why they didn't go with him in the 9th. He got the side out in the 8th. It was 117 pitches, so that's a lot. I get that, but this is the playoffs. And on his 117th pitch, he threw it 100 miles an hour, Would you have stayed with him or gone to Chapman, who ended up loading the bases and then getting out of the inning with 2 strikeouts? And he was throwing every pitch almost, unless he was going off speed, which was in the low to mid 90s. Every pitch was 100 or 101. I think he hit 102 once.
Yeah, the analytics guys in the front office would argue it wasn't about the velocity that he was able to maintain. They go with all their analysis and their matchups. And it either backfires on them or it doesn't. I mean, I can remember this topic came up a couple of years ago when the Dodgers were playing, I think the Rays, when you had the left-handed pitcher that's now with the Dodgers was dominating. Mookie said, we couldn't see it, we couldn't hit it. They take him out of the game. The Dodgers end up coming back to win the game. Snell. So,
yeah, right.
It goes back to do you have a veteran manager that has the ability and the authority to go with his gut and stay with a guy like that, or do you do what the analytics say and go to the bullpen?
Let's go back.
Obviously, it worked out last night. It was a little bit scary.
Oh, yeah. Let me go back to Chapman for a second. This guy, he's been around forever. He's always on great teams because he comes in and he closes out. He can still throw, like we said, 102 miles an hour. And here's the thing. Whatever pitch he was pitching, it was a strike. There were a couple that were really borderline, and they would go to this 3D graphic. I don't like this ESPN graphic. Just give me the regular box. I can see if it hit or if it didn't. They turn this 3D box. I can't tell if it's in or out the way they do it. I hate that ESPN graphic. What do you think?
No, I agree 100% with you. It's like it's more confusing than it is anything. If you see it from the front, you can tell if it touches the box, any part of the box, or it's outside the box. When you spin it around there, all you're doing is confusing the viewer, and it takes too much time. I mean, just show it like you and I are talking, and everything's good.
Well, there's going to be those robo challenges next year. It's 2, and you keep them if you win your challenge. So I hope they're not going to use this particular method. I hope they use the one that Fox uses because I like that a whole lot better. All right. Detroit and Cleveland is a little opposite. Cleveland was the hot team. They overtook Detroit, but Detroit just stole home field advantage, going up 1-0. The winner gets Seattle. What do you think happens there?
Well, Scuba was outstanding, much like the other pitchers that we just talked about. And they needed him to be, obviously. So you gotta. I still think it's going to be a 3-game series. I think the Indians or the Guardians are that good. Again, whoever gets to Seattle, I think it's going to be more of the same as we're seeing in this series. Again, I think we've got a blend across the board, even moving forward. You're going to see runs being scored, I think, in the National League. You're going to see less runs being scored in the American League. And who knows, it might flip, but I think we've got the combination of the two, which is super exciting. We got teams that have traditionally not been in the playoffs that are in. We've got great storylines with Cal Raleigh and the likes of others. And it'll be interesting to see, if the Phillies can maintain and stay hot and ultimately get Trey Turner back in the mix of things and get him going.
Cal Raleigh, I don't think he's ever played in postseason. That'll be fun to watch for sure. I like that storyline. Boston and New York, we had a thriller last night in Yankee Stadium. All of a sudden, it's the Bo Sox with the advantage, and if there is a Yankee win today, they go back to Fenway. How does this play out with the winner going to Toronto?
Well, I think that when the season started, we definitely didn't count the Red Sox in play. We figured the Yankees might or might not be. And again, we've got a great rivalry and a great series being played here. And again, either one of these teams would be fine with me coming out of it because it's going to add a lot of nostalgia, a lot of energy in our conversations as well as for the fans.
I think TV would probably choose New York, but that's close, too, because both, of course, are traditional and both are in metropolitan areas that are huge. Then you got the number 1 TV market, L.A., against the small market. Cincinnati, the Dodgers up 1-0. The winner is going to get the second-best team in baseball this year, the Philadelphia Phillies.
It's going to be, I think we can go ahead and say the Dodgers will win that. Crazier things have happened, but it's gonna come down to matchups and who plays the cleanest and gets timely hitting because both these teams are, both the Phillies and the Dodgers are phenomenal.
Well, both were division winners. You got to go with Philly, don't you? They were second best record in the league.
I don't know. I'm not a betting man, but I wouldn't bet on this series. I mean, that's both teams are that good and that equal. And again, it's going to come down to, Teoscar Hernandez comes up big again. He's always come up big in the playoffs the last couple of years. He did last night and broke that game wide open. Then you got Ohtani. Then you got Mookie. It's going to come down to bullpens, I think. If they can, the teams can stay in the game through 5 or 6 innings and it's close, either team's going to have a chance and see what bullpen steps up.
Speaking of bullpens, the Cubs bullpen, they threw their closer, I think, in either the 5th or the 6th inning yesterday because they were up 3-1 and they wanted to protect that lead, so they brought the big guy in, and the bullpen did it the rest of the way. I want to see this thing end in Chicago today. I don't want to have to go to San Diego 1-1. That would scare the dickens out of me. The winner's going to get Milwaukee, and if it's the Cubs, their old manager goes to take on his old team.
Well, there's no question, and talk about the Cubs relief pitching. I mean, I'd be remiss in not mentioning a former Doolin Dodger, a former Ole Miss Rebel, and Drew Pomerantz that's really kind of had a resurgence in his career. He started out the year in AAA and then gets to the Cubs and has been nothing but dominant. I think he's got 25, 30 innings, something like that, with a 1 ERA, and he's just been a great setup guy for the Cubs, and he could play an integral part in these series moving forward, obviously, if they move on to play the Brewers.
Yeah, who do you think ends up going there? And then what happens?
I gotta pick the Cubs. I mean,
there
you'd be
we
pissed
go,
off
baby.
if I didn't.
That's exactly right.
I like the Cubs.
Never
I
talk
do like
to you
the
again.
Cubs. Yeah.
You like the Cubs, all right? And what about if they play Milwaukee? That'll be a great matchup.
It'd be a great matchup. I think it's I like the series when they go further than 2 out of 3, obviously. So the best teams are moving forward. The best teams are going to win.
That is our guy, Tim Doolin on baseball. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk next week.
All right, well, thank you.
Tim Doolin on baseball, brought to you by Southern Security. Are you getting the lowest possible rate on your mortgage at Southern Security? They offer the best rates, I promise. Flexible terms, by the way, no PMI, and service. That's what I love about Southern Security. That's why they've been voted the #1 credit union in Memphis for the last 6 years. You can refinance your current mortgage with the Mid-South's best mortgage leader so easily by going online at southernsecurity.org or calling our office at 901-452-7900. You can talk to a person and get all set up. Southern Security is an equal housing lender, a proud supporter of Memphis athletics, and also 901 Women. Southern Security is your home team credit union, federally insured by NCUA. I will be off tomorrow for the Jewish holiday. Landon Schmidt will be filling in. It'll be the usual crew that you will hear from, and then I'll be back on Friday. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everybody.